Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Chase. So we're gonna cover Bitcoin, Ethereum, probably AVAx, probably look at Sol, maybe some other alts. We'll see what we got time for. We'll have our usual discussion section. Please forgive me. I just ate before this, and I swallowed something real wrong, so I've been like choking a little bit, but I think I should be fine now. As always. Before we get started, nothing in this video constitutes as financial advice. Get a financial advisor, etc. You guys know the deal. Big shout out to PrimeXBT for sponsoring these videos. They're the ones who make these videos free for you. You can sign up at the bottom, use my links, get a deposit bonus. All right, that's about it. So we're right into this green level. We could break this down a little bit just so we could see what we were working with, right? We had sort of the origin of the breakdown here. We came up, reject, reject, reject. Look at these daily closes right here, okay? So this was our support level. We've come down. We're now tapping this support level. In my opinion, what we're getting here, I'm just going to say it right off the bat. In my opinion, what we're getting here is the same type of thing we got here, same type of thing we got here, same type of thing we got here. It's that like grind into support, annoying, choppy price action. And ultimately it breaks upwards, and that's what I see for now. So as far as Bitcoin goes, we'll break this down in a second, but let's say this does break down. If this does break down, I think a lot of people have eyes on 52. I think it'll bounce, but it probably won't be the actual bottom, so to say. Or maybe we just shred right through it. I don't know. Something about this just seems too quote-unquote clean to me, and I don't really like it. In my opinion, I think not only psychologically but also technically, I think a quick move below 50 would get a lot of people out. I think a lot of people will have those stops at 49,999. You know what I'm saying? You get some chain stops. You get some chain licks. I'm looking to pick up some spot around 49.5 if we get a chance. Okay, simple as that. 1 second. Outside of that, that's my downside target. Don't think I'm, we'll see how it goes. As far as shorting goes, if there's an opportunity, I'm not going to draw out anything right away though, because honestly, I've been shorting less and less as we've been in this, longer term bull market for the most part. It's crypto, it's stocks, it's basically sort of everything. I've been playing less and less shorts, and it's been doing well for me. I've just been buying dips, focusing on long positions. Shorts can get blown out pretty quickly usually. And that's about it. I did have on AVAx, I didn't short, but I did think it was extremely obvious. We'll clean this out real quick. I had drawn this on, I think on crypto Twitter, and I said that we were going to be coming down into here, and I drew something like this. I said breakthrough, and boom. So that would have been an easy short, right? But nonetheless, I just don't think it's completely necessary at the moment. So I've just been more or less sticking with longs. So again, I think that this is going to be one of those situations where eventually we're going to rally out of here. I don't know how many more tests it's going to take. That's the biggest problem, and why these areas sort of piss me off is because you don't have very clean invalidation, and you sort of just have to accept the risk, right? And it is not a bad thing, right, to have predetermined risk, but what I'm saying is that you have to accept like wide risk, because this could easily go into here and be okay. This could easily go into here and be okay. And if you put stops below here, then you might just get wicked out and it might pump. I don't see very clean invalidation in here. So what do we do at that point? Well, like I said, you can just venture into spot and sort of play it slow and see where it goes, and you may just need to cut. But again, a spot loss is no difference than a short-term trade loss, right? Either way, you're losing money. So, excuse me. So, realistically, I think what you do is you probably wait for, this downtrendish thing to break here. You look for like an obvious shift in market structure, right? We've had low, we had lower high, had a lower low here, and we had a lower high. Now we're getting sort of equal lows here, but once again, lower high, lower high, lower high still. So if we can get like a major shift, probably something, you know, we would look for a clean level, something like this. Let me delete this other one and we'll zoom in a little bit here. We can see, you know, support, support, breaks down, resistance, resistance, deviation here, resistance, resistance, tries to hold, but fails, right? So we try to hold here and we fail. Once again, rejected. This is probably like a possible trade. But once again, even, you know, if we do flip this and you get a test here, and you know, I don't think I could play stop all the way down here. I think it's too wide. You're not going to get like a lot of. Let's see what type of risk reward we would get. I mean, you'd get 2.5 if you aimed all the way for high, but it's most likely that you'd get towards around here first, because you know, let's just mark this out too, right? You'd have a liquidity area here, and you also have this previous origin of impulse over here, right? So this sort of began this up move, and we can see the confluence here. So this is probably your first area where you're going to see a strong rejection. You're going to get 1.85 risk reward. It's actually not that bad, so maybe it is something that's possible. And the problem, especially with Bitcoin, is that it does like to get choppy. It doesn't always like to play cleanly, so it could retest, and then it could do that, and then you could go, like something like that. So, again, you know, this is sort of a tough area for, and that's why I said at the very beginning of the videos that these type of things annoy me, and it's really because, in my opinion, it's hard to find clean trades, and I usually like to, you know, find trades that seem more reliable, more clean. Apologies for the dog barking. Yeah, so I think that's about it for Bitcoin, right? The only other thing I would watch for is sometimes Bitcoin likes to do this. It likes to fake breakdown, consolidate, right? And if it reclaims, that means the bottom's in. Like if it does like this long like fake out thing here, if it's gonna crash, it's gonna crash like this. It'll come down, it'll barely retrace, and it'll dump. If it does this and it bear flags below support, that's like it's a straight trap. It almost always is, and that's gonna bring us straight to here. So those are a couple things I could be watching on that. Move over to Ethereum here. This is gonna be harder than I thought. Thing's still like stuck. I think it went down the wrong pipe. I don't know. Feels weird though. Okay, for Ethereum, a little less clear on Ethereum. What I am certain of is that I would like, you know, I think buys in here are pretty obvious. I think you have an obvious low here, and you sweep this obvious low, you're going to get some type of a bounce for sure. That is if there's some type of a breakdown, not necessarily calling for one. As always, you guys know how we do. We just, you know, we're going to have lots of plans. Some plans are going to come to fruition. Some plans aren't going to come to fruition. But if you don't plan ahead, then when the moment comes, you're completely lost. So I'm always planning for upside. I'm always planning for downside. You have to have plans for all angles. Okay, sorry about the dog. I don't know. It must be someone delivering a package or some shit. Anyway, so this is sort of interesting on the upside here. Oh boy. Sort of interesting on the upside here, right? We had an obvious uptrend, right? High, low, higher, low. Little, you know, flub here. Higher, low, high, low, high, low. Okay? And we finally break the market structure right here. So this is where market structure turns bearish, right at this level right here. Breaks down through, you get a retest here. This is why we were taking profits on the ETH long from the weekly, okay? I had called a long on the weekly ETH, right? Remember this one? You know, plenty of time to get into that one if you were paying attention to my videos. And then we were taking profits all the way up. Especially as we got into here. We took profits right near the top. Or at least the top of this local move, right? And the reason why, because that's where the break in market structure was, okay? Not only that, but, you know, pretend you're not even caring about market structure. You have a lot of confluence there. Look, resistance, support, deviation, support, breaks through. This is obviously your resistance level. So if you do come up through here, I don't feel like there's enough confluence to tap and go. That feels weird. Probably deviation back down maybe into here, something like that, and then go. That would be what I'd be watching for. Probably resistance area like right around here, right around 47. Yeah, could keep an eye on that. And downside is this area. There's also these equal lows to watch out for. If we get a sweep of the equal lows, that could be a short-term trade opportunity. I wouldn't put too much behind it, right? You could probably play it with a fairly tight stop. You would see it as a stop run and a reclaim, and that's it. And you could do the entry here. You could do a half and half. You could do half blind, half on retest if you get it. Remember, sometimes you don't get the retest. That's why a lot of people just jump in right away. And if it just breaks down and it just flips this to resistance, then probably into here. Okay, pretty simple. And moving forward. AVAx. Okay. Do I need to clear this off or anything? Yeah, I mean, we can clear it off just so we can talk more. All right, so AVAx, very strong uptrend. Sort of a double top here, blew off a bit. My favorite trades, I've said this, my favorite trades are typically, this bounce is almost like guaranteed on most assets that have really high volume. They're very bullish. Everyone's quote unquote waiting for the dip. But for some reason, this one is not responding as, trades typically do for me. So, for a lack of saying I'm wrong, and hey, I am wrong because the market's right, but, and actually this is fine. I'm in profit now. But in the beginning, I hopped in at 121 because I thought this was going to get front run, right? On a bullish asset, when assets are really bullish, you don't get clean tests, right? You usually get a front run and you get a bounce. So that's what I was expecting, at least for the start. I was thinking, okay, we're going to front run. We're going to bounce like into here. Simple as that. But, someone just wants to keep TWAP selling until everybody gets pushed out of the market. And so it is what it is, right? Sometimes you got to play the whale's game and playing the whale game, right? Let me go back to where we were at before. Okay, so now you ran this low, right? You got a sweep of this low. Is that not enough? Maybe it's not enough for them. So maybe now we got to do another sweep of the low. Okay, we might sweep it again into here. All right, and I'm bidding more here too. Okay, and if we bust through all this, well, then fuck you, and I'm out, because that's just stupid. That's not how markets typically work as I've seen them. I'm not pretending I'm the best trader. I'm not pretending I know everything, but I mean, I've been trading for, 6 years now or something. And I know that things just don't go like this. That's not a real pattern. You almost always, especially on an asset that was quote unquote extremely bullish, high volume, everybody wanted in. I know that when you hit a support, you get a bounce, even if it's small. Doesn't have to be a big one, but I know you get a bounce. I know that when you run liquidity, you get a bounce. Doesn't have to be a major one. Doesn't have to go to new highs, but you do get a bounce. You get a chance to make profit. And I know that if you get to this area, which was resistance, flips to support, also origin of impulse right in here, right? Origin of this up move, I know that you get a bounce. Okay, first target 125, second target 130. And if we don't get a bounce whatsoever, I'm going to stop out for like a 2.5 or a 3R or something, and that's fine. Every now and then I decide to make a stand, and it usually costs me a good amount of money, but those are also the best lessons. Sometimes you just have to, see that you're going to, get fucked or whatnot. And also, if this does go up, cool. I'll capture 1.5R, I'll capture 2R or something. Really, in reality, it's not a great risk-reward trade for me anymore. But I'm going to stick with it anyway because I'm not going to be quote unquote bullied out here, in my opinion. Because in my opinion, this is bullying. This isn't like this isn't organic. This is just a downtrend, and it's just a constant selling downtrend. It doesn't make any sense for an asset that was so bullish. Every candle is red on the way down. You finally get a little bit of a bounce after you ran this, in which if it was actually bullish and it was more organic, this origin of impulse right here would have led to a bounce. So yeah, either it's going to bounce soon or it's just going to look like a pump and dump. So they could pick whatever they want to do. But in my opinion, it's just getting people out. Okay, you longed here. Okay, you're out here. That was the first move, right? So that's the first fuck you move. Okay, we'll explain it like that, because that's essentially what they're doing. So you long this, your stop's below here. Fuck you. There's fuck you number one. Now, okay, you think you're a good trader, right? You had your entry below the liquidity level. Okay, well, oh, now you're in? Oh, well, here comes the fuck you too, because now you put your stop below there thinking you're good. There's another fuck you. Now they get more fills. Every time you stop out, they get more fills. That's how it works. 1 second. And then maybe we'll finally get one fuck you 3 right into this level, something like that, and that should be straight rate. Watch when that happens. Watch when they're done with whatever this bullshit is going on. It's gonna be fucking boom, 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 boom. Right to target. Easy mode, easy profits. Okay, so I'm personally not gonna get bullied out. It's all about risk management. I started with a 1R trade. I added another R. If it comes down again, I'll add probably one more. If I take a 3R stop out, I'm not happy about it. It hurts a little more than usual. It's not necessarily sticking to my plan 100%, but as I said, I'm not interested in getting bullied out, and I feel like I know when something looks scammy. And in my opinion, it looks like a scam, and it'll reverse sooner than later. And if I'm wrong, hey, shit happens. 3R, it's whatever. It's my fucking money. Who cares? Moving on to Solana. Solana, I'm just being patient. I think we eventually get 170-ish, high 160s, 170s. Take out this low, little something like this, soup right into there, boom, 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 and probably new highs or something from there. Again, especially when it comes to alts, this is all relative to how Bitcoin and ETH are performing. Obviously, if ETH is down here and if Bitcoin's down here, you can expect that this is going all the way into here somewhere, definitely into this level. Again, with AVAx too, if these are really selling off in a major way, you can expect that we're heading all the way back down into here or something, probably towards these old highs right here, some type of a flip in there. All completely depends on the overall crypto market. But in my opinion, Bitcoin, it's just pulling that bullshit it usually does, trying to get people to sell its support. Everybody sells its support and then it pumps. ETH will follow through slowly but surely. AVAx is trying to scam, but it's going to pump fairly soon, I'm pretty sure. And Solana is doing a whole lot of... It's just a little bit choppy right now. And I'd like to see liquidity tagged here, and then you have this area right here. That is, in my opinion, a fairly obvious buy zone. Resistance, pumps through, and this is where you have your previous sellers right here, and they'd like to get back in. They'd like to buy at this area right here, in my opinion. Okay, discussion time. So the discussion was going to be about parabolic advances versus ordinary retracements. Sorry, I had to stretch and yawn. Versus ordinary retracements, but we sort of just... Oh, sorry, that's stocks. We sort of just went through... it on AVAx, right? Like, basically what I mean is that most of the time on, what should be ordinary retracements, you should get bounces at each individual level, right? You should get a bounce from the level. You should get a bounce from the level. You should get a bounce from the level, okay? And look, no bounce, not really a bounce, maybe it'll bounce here. And the difference is when you have a parabolic move, typically that's when you get one of those huge nukes. And the reason it comes down so deep is because people are getting chain stopped out and chain liquidated. Okay, so that's really the difference. All I'm saying is that if it's a slow move down, you typically get decent bounces off supports that are tradable. Whereas if it's a real blow off top, you get a huge down move because a lot of people get rinsed all at the same time. And when you think that a lot of people could get rinsed all at the same time, that is when you want to look towards your daily and you want to say, look, I think a lot of people could get rinsed here. This is your daily order block right here. This is where I want to get in. Whereas if it's shorter term things, or if it's ordinary retracements, in my opinion, you should see more bounces along the way. Although, once again, we just talked about AVAx and everything. I don't need to say it again. Outside of that, potentially underwhelming, but I really feel like that like sort of locks it in, right? Look, we can look at it on ETH because it's an easy look here. Let's go to the daily. Okay, parabolic advance. Not too many days here. It was just you get one bounce off of this level. Okay, so one bounce, but it wasn't much, right? And then just a huge nuke. So when you're getting truly parabolic advances, you want to look up at, the weekly, the 3-day, something like that. And look, you could see the previous high before this took off. Resistance flips to support. Look at all these closes. That's how you know. So you had resistance here. You had close, candle close above, takes off. And when it nukes down, what do you get? You get a retracement all the way back towards previous high, and actually even deeper because of the liquidity and all the, the chain stops, the chain liquidations, etc. You get even deeper. You get about $300 deeper than quote unquote it should have went. We put should have in quotes. It's just what I see in the market versus what actually happened. But even so, if you were playing by closes, you could get even tighter. You could say this was your high, rejection, support, and then boom. But again, it still deviates because of all the chain licks and whatnot. So that's why when you get truly parabolic moves, move up to the 3-day, move up to the weekly, set stink bids. And typically you want to set those stink bids on spot, because that's what causes these chain reactions, is people getting in on their leverage positions with stops, etc. I'm not saying don't use a stop, but somebody bought here and they had a stop here, which they shouldn't be buying here in the first place, right? Because it's a parabolic advance. You need to look down for a major key level. Okay, so someone got stopped out there. Someone bought this high, they got stopped out there. Somebody bought the origin of impulse right here of this move, they got stopped out right there. And it just keeps stopping people out. It keeps liquidating people until it finally gets to a level. So what you want to do is you want to look at that high time frame level. You want to say, look, weekly closes here, flips to support, or weekly resistance here, flip to support. You buy spot right here. Worst case scenario, you're down 300 per. But at the end of the day, if you're getting we're talking a 50% retracement, 54, 60% retracement in a single day. That feels like a good buy on spot, in my opinion. When everyone thinks it's going to zero, that's typically a good buy on spot. And it typically only takes, let's see how long this one took. When you finally do put in that bottom and you get a spot bid filled, look, not even less than 4 hours, however long it took, an hour or something, you get a fill and you're in hugely profit real quick. $900 per ETH on profit rather than, and that's it. Parabolic advance, spot, high time frame, and that's how you buy off the parabolic advance. Whereas if it's an ordinary retracement, slow, ordinary retracement, right? If it did this and it bounced and then it just moved slowly, right? And it chopped and maybe it hopped up for a second and it came back down. Okay, then maybe you get another bounce right here, right? But instead, it was parabolic advance and just straight down. Whereas otherwise, if it's moving ordinary retracement, you'll see, because you'll be getting bounces. You'll be getting a better bounce. You'll come down. You won't immediately nuke. You can spot that immediate nuke. If it doesn't immediately nuke and you're just slowly chopping at the next level, you're slowly chopping at it. Okay, well, it doesn't look like it's nuking in any type of crazy way. Well, maybe you get a bounce back towards the previous resistance. Okay, so that's the difference. What else? I think that's it for the most part. Don't really have too much else to say. The gripes of a Twitter trader, I suppose. We all know, anyone who's followed me for a while, that I had called for AVAx to retest this level, and that's where I said I'd be buying more. And yet today, during my talks about AVAX, people are like, oh, so you're buying the top, blah, blah, blah. No, I fucking bought back here, publicly tweeted it, and actually gave you the entire blueprint. I drew it, and I drew it to 100. So, fuck out of here with that. If you're talking shit, you don't know nothing. And if you know me well, you know that I take profit often. So during this whole advance, I've always been taking small percentages, 3% here, 6% here, 10% here, depending on how big the move of the day was. And that's it. And short-term trading is just that, short-term trading. And if we're not getting a bounce here soon, well, I don't know, pretty questionable to me. All right, so as always, thank you guys for tuning in. Shout out to PrimeXBT for sponsoring the videos. Give those guys a look. And I'll be back with you next week. Thank you. Happy holidays to those of you, I think. USA. And that's about it. See you later.